So this is the first year I would actually recommend buying an OLED TV. With recent price cuts, you can find this 55-inch LG OLED B7V or the C7V for under £2,000, and with significant improvements over last year's model, including 25% higher peak brightness, much lower input lag. We're talking about just 21 milliseconds for gamers, which is incredible, as well as a wider color gamut, better picture processing, new active HDR technology, support for Dolby Atmos audio, and an updated UI, WebOS 3.5. But the best news is that the B7 here, while technically LG's entry-level 2017 OLED, it shares the same panel, processing, and features as all the top-end models. All 10 of LG's 2017 OLEDs, that's 5 models in 55 and 65-inch sizes, share the same tech. The biggest difference with the premium signature and wallpaper models is design and sound quality. But, the good news is that for the rest of us, we all benefit from the best picture quality on what is a relatively affordable TV. Okay, so £2,000 is still an awful lot of money, and you can get a good HDR 4K TV for a lot less. But considering the B7 is already £1,000 less than when it launched earlier this year, it's become one of the best and most affordable OLED TVs on the market. The B7V here offers a clean and simple design with a chrome crescent-shaped stand. The C7V is virtually identical, but comes with what LG call a stiletto stand, and would be a better option if you have a smaller TV unit. The screen itself is extremely thin, but all the ports, speakers, and other gubbins are at the bottom of the TV. So at its thickest point, it's just 5 centimeters thick. So it may not be quite as svelte as the Signature or Wallpaper series, but it is certainly a very, very attractive TV and still super thin, so you can easily wall mount this and it will look great. Port selection is solid too, with 4 HDMI 2.0B ports, all HDCP 2.2 compliant, including 1 ARC HDMI for sound systems. It's also got 3 USBs and built-in 802.11 AC Wi-Fi. Now, I'm a big fan of the remote control, which has had a bit of a refresh this year. Unlike Samsung TVs that come with a standard remote with a billion buttons and then a fancy cut-down smart remote, LG offers just one magic remote, which has all the buttons you need, including new dedicated Netflix and Amazon buttons. The remote also supports LG's nifty motion sensing pointer, which makes entering text and flicking through icons and channels really fast and easy. Or if you prefer, you can just use the D-pad or even the scroll wheel. It's basically a mouse scroll wheel right here, which is really useful. So overall, the remote is really comfortable in the hand, there's a good weight to it, and navigating the TV's menus is really easy and fast. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that the B7 here runs the latest WebOS 3.5 software from LG, and it is absolutely lovely to use. It's so fast. It's really colourful and bright, and as you can see, you've got all your main catch-up services, and then here in the UK, we've got things like iPlayer, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, YouTube, pretty much everything you would need. Now TV as well, in addition to sort of your cable, your antenna input, and of course, Netflix, Amazon. WebOS 3.5 is a fairly minor update. It turns on a little bit quicker, the menus are a bit faster, and overall, it's just a bit of a tune-up over the previous version. Although this does now support 360 videos and has a few extra little features built in, but generally, it's just a bit of a minor upgrade. But none of that means anything if the picture quality isn't up to scratch. And the good news here is that the B7 is absolutely stunning and a solid upgrade over previous OLED models. So as I'm sure you know, the benefit of an OLED panel is that the pixels are self-emitting. They can turn themselves off and on when they want, which means when you've got a really dark scene in the corners or in the shadows, they can essentially turn themselves off, so you get perfect inky blacks, and also you get wider viewing angles. But the downside of OLEDs generally is they can't get as bright as competing TVs, such as Samsung's recent 2017 QLED TVs, which are sometimes between 15 and 2000 nits, whereas this B7 here tops out at around 750 nits. This is noticeably higher than last year, which maxed out at around 600. It's about 25% higher. So yeah, it is noticeably brighter than last year, but still doesn't compete with QLEDs. And that is probably my one sort of criticism with the picture quality, is that while it's not really an issue anymore, it used to be an issue on the older TVs that you just couldn't increase the brightness much without really losing a lot of the detail in the blacks. Still the case a little bit, but you just don't need to do that as much because it is by default a bit brighter. So picture quality out of the box is superb, although straight away you should turn off the true motion setting to get rid of that overly smooth soap opera effect, and also turn off eco mood. mode, eco mode. I prefer standard mode myself and also turning down the sharpness just a little bit. Cinema is very nice, but a little bit too yellow, a little bit too sepia in my opinion. But yeah, eco just adds a bit of a natural cyan tint to it. And also is a little bit dimmer as well. So personally, I quite like the standard mode. And then there's game mode. Switching from the picture preset from say standard or whatever the other ones it defaults to game mode significantly lowers the input lag down to 21 milliseconds. But out of the box, this is great for gaming. Just put it to game mode. You can hook up your Xbox One, your PS4, or like I've got here, my PS4 Pro. It makes gaming absolutely fantastic, but it doesn't make you any good at it. Actually, one thing I'm noticing sitting here in this weird setup for the TV is that the viewing angles on this are insane. As I said earlier, that's one of the benefits of OLED TVs. It is so beautiful. You don't get any brightness or color drop off as you look around the TV. And that low input lag in game mode applies to both 1080p SDR and 4K HDR resolutions. And better still, it also supports full 4x4x4 chroma, which means you get the best color accuracy. So make sure your input, in this case the PS4 Pro in HDMI 2.0, has this Ultra HD Deep Color enabled, so you can get the best color and resolution settings. Now, one of the big new features this year is something called Active HDR. All LG OLED TVs support all the main 4 HDR formats: HDR10, Dolby Vision, Hybrid Log Gamma, HLG, and Advanced HDR with Technicolor, which is coming through a future update. Now, LG says that Active HDR will upscale some of the weaker HDR formats like HDR10 to match the quality of the technically superior ones like Dolby Vision, which should even out the quality of whatever HDR content you're watching. Either way, that's all very technical and kind of behind the scenes. Either way, it just looks stunning, and hopefully means that no matter what you watch, especially in 4K HDR, like this, the Grand Tour, it just looks absolutely stunning. So yeah, the best way to show off this TV is either with an Ultra HD Blu-ray or stream some 4K HDR content like the Grand Tour here from Netflix and Amazon Video. But there are a couple of minor issues with the B7. For example, it doesn't handle interlaced content very well. If you're here in the UK and you watch Sky through your Sky HD box, the 1080i picture can cause some minor stuttering and artifacting on this TV. It's not a deal breaker, and upgrading to Sky Q, which outputs at 2160p 4K, will solve this issue. Sound quality is decent too, but it does lack a bit of bass and depth. It's not bad by any means, but if you're spending $2,000 on a TV, I definitely recommend pairing it with a soundbar or some external speakers, and you can use that HDMI ARC output, so that you can use your soundbar on the speakers with the same remote. So the main sacrifice with the B7 and C7 versus the higher end LG models, including the E7, G7 and W7, are design and sound quality, but that's it. And the latter can be addressed with a soundbar. But for just under £2,000 or around $2,200 right now, the B7 is, in my opinion, the best OLED TV you can buy, and I highly, highly recommend it. You could always wait to 2017, no, not 2017, we're in 2017. You could always wait to 2018 to see what models they introduce at CES in January. Obviously, you're then gonna have to wait until they ship, which will be around April or May, and of course, then they'll come at a premium price like this did when it launched, £1,000 more expensive. It is stunning bang for buck. If you want an OLED, of course, because you are still paying a massive premium for that technology. Is it worth it? Well, I'm going to address that in a different video, but short answer, yeah, I think so. So that is the LG OLED 55B7V, and if you can afford it, it is a phenomenal TV and I highly recommend it. If you want to find out more or even buy one of these, I've put links in the description below. So, would you want one? Are you a fan of OLED? Let me know in the comments below. Give me a big thumbs up and subscribe if you like the video. I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chap. Thanks for watching, guys.